words of our mouths, the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. And that's the way I start every sermon. That's the way I kind of close off the gospel, and it's the way that I begin my opportunity to try to remind us all of God's word here and now, today, in this place, and for all of us. May the words of my mouth, may the words of all of our mouths, the meditation of all of our hearts, be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. And if you've ever wondered where that came from, now you know. That is Psalm 19. Psalm 19, verse 14. And I adapt it just a little bit because I'm the one who's about to preach. May the words of my mouth, but may the meditations of all of our hearts, that which is inside of us, how those words come out of me and go into you, and where they go next, may they be acceptable to you, O Lord, our strength, O Lord, our power, O Lord, our rock, O Lord, our solid foundation upon which we might stand, O Lord, our rock, in whose cleft we might find shelter in the storm. In you may this be found to be acceptable and pleasing and holy and righteous and good as we're listening and as we get up and leave this place and go into the rest of our day and into the rest of our lives. May the words of all of our mouths and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. The words of our mouths, the meditations of our hearts, they are connected, inextricably linked. What we say, what we think, feel, know, it is Jesus himself who will tell us that out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. That which you already have inside of you is what is coming out in the words of your speech. Luke 6:45. The good man brings out of the good stored in his heart. The evil man brings evil out of the evil things stored up in his heart. Out of the overflow of the heart, then the mouth speaks. Good, bad, or indifferent, it starts here, and it comes out here. Our words matter. I just prayed that my words would matter, and that how those words sink inside of our souls would matter. They would be good and pleasing and righteous and holy. They would be acceptable to God himself and honor him praise and glory. The words make a difference. The words we hear, the words we speak. And that's why every week I offer that same prayer for me and for all of us. The words and the heart which motivates those words to spring forth from us would be pleasing to God. Because it's that important. Because it's that critical, and because it's that powerful. James goes on at some length, and he is crystal clear. Our words make a difference. A huge, huge difference. Words are powerful. Our tongue, though it may be small, has a disproportionate power in our lives and in the lives of others. It is proportionately a very small part of our body. And so he likens it to the bit in a horse or to the rudder in a ship. The rudder of a ship is proportionately to the size of the overall ship very small. When the rudder goes one way, so goes the ship. The rudder goes the other way, so goes the ship. Our tongue is very small. The tongue turns to the right, so we go. The tongue turns to the left, so we go. The tongue goes the wrong way, so we go. The tongue goes the right way, so goes the rest of us. For our sakes and for the sakes of others, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. It is so powerful. Our words are so powerful. He calls it a raging fire that, though it starts very small, can burn down a forest. Like the rudder of a ship, turning our entire life in the right way or in the wrong way. Turning the life of someone else to the right way, to the wrong way. Our words are so powerful, so watch your mouth for the love of God. Literally, for the love of God. Watch your mouth. I'm saying it loud, it's because I need to hear it too. Words make a difference. Stray word. Offhanded comment. Think of how much damage that can cause. This is dynamite that we play with. It is so powerful and can be used powerfully, constructively, and to do great things. But like dynamite, if mishandled, can be terribly destructive. Terribly destructive. Blow stuff up. And we know this. We know this. Perhaps you have heard it in the past. I'm sure it was never said to you. But do you kiss your mother with that mouth? The same mouth that can offer love can offer pain. The same mouth that can offer praise can offer wickedness and hurt. The same mouth that can glorify God can cut somebody down and hurt them deeply and profoundly. Our words mean something, and they are very, very powerful. For the love of God, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. It is so strong. We see this and we know this in our own lives. Daytime talk shows were founded on some of these principles where there is no one-to-one correlation between compliments and criticisms. Right? Don't we know this in our own lives? That even if somebody says something nice to you, if they follow it up with something mean, which one of those do you remember? Which one of those makes an impact? It's the nasty one. Like always. And they've had studies where they try to determine just how many compliments are necessary to balance out the one critique, so you just don't focus on the mean thing. And it's this hugely disproportionate number. Imagine, if you will, you're driving 3 hours a road trip. You've traveled maybe well over 100 miles, and everything is calm and serene and peaceful and boring until that one fraction of a second where the guy cuts in front of you, you have to slam on the brakes. 3 hours on the road, nice, clean, clear road. What do you remember? The guy cutting you off a fraction of a second where something bad happened. And that's what our words are like. Think of the power. Think of the responsibility. Think of just how significant this all is. Have a stray comment even, or a purposeful one, and just the difference it can make. Words that can express love, one to another, to friends, to family. Words that can cut them and hurt them in the deepest and most sensitive of spots. How many words do you carry with you even now? Years after they were spoken. Years after you heard them. Sometimes you're hearing them all the time. Sometimes all it takes is a stray comment or something to remind you, and you can hear those words echo in your ear one more time. And how powerful and how significant those words can be. Think of the burdens that some carry because of words that were spoken to them when they were very young. And words, even if they don't want to admit them, are still there, somewhere, waiting to come out and whisper words of pain and hurt back into ears. It's dynamite. It can be used for powerful good, and it can be used for powerful destruction. For the love of God, watch your mouth. It means so much. Really, all of our readings, it's so interesting to me. They are so word-focused and word-based. Words. How does this poem about wisdom come from Proverbs other than, give heed to my reproof, behold, I will pour my thoughts into you? That is God offering to grant us His wisdom, to be poured into our hearts. I will make my words known to you. Out of the overflow of the heart, so the mouth speaks. The Lord is offering to pour into our hearts His words, His wisdom, and His truth, so that can come out of our mouths. What happens when we don't? It even tells us that. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord, would have none of my counsel, despised all my reproof, therefore they shall eat the fruit of their way and be sated with their own devices. You will stew in your own juices. You will lie in the bed upon which you have made, and it will be uncomfortable. Out of the overflow of the heart, so the mouth speaks. Words. What words are here in your heart? What words are there in your mind, have taken root in your spirit, that may pour forth then from your speech? Because it matters. It matters. The law of the Lord, we just heard in our psalm, is perfect and revives the soul. It's sure, it gives wisdom. It ought to make your heart rejoice. It ought to be more precious than gold and sweeter than honey. And yet if you will not open yourself to His words, you will miss it all. You miss out your soul being revived. You miss out that joy that ought to be within you. You miss out on something more precious than gold and sweeter than honey. And what is going to be in there, you have to question. You have to wonder. You have to ask yourself. If it is not filled with the wisdom and the words of the Lord, what is it filled with? If you watch crappy shows filled with crappy words and listen to crappy music with crappy lyrics, don't be surprised when crap flows from your mouth. Amen. What are you filling your own heart with? Because that is where your speech will come from. You fill it with the goodness and the word of the Lord, so too might that flow from your mouth. Words that offer rejoicing to someone else's spirit. Words that are precious to other people like gold. Words that are sweet to them like honey. This mouth can bless and it can curse. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. So for the love of God, watch your mouth and watch your heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Therefore, watch what you're putting in your heart. How else will you speak words that are good and sweet and rejoicing if you fill your heart and your mind and your spirit with words that curse and break and hurt instead? You will have no well from which to draw. Or if you do, the water will be muddy and dirty and wicked and wrong, and just simply pass along more hurts to someone else. We know these words are powerful. I bet if we thought about it, we could think of a word that came out of our mouth and we wished, please, I wish I had that back. Words that kind of spring out, you're like, oh! Like if you could swallow it again, you. If you could hit a big rewind button and take it all back, you would, and you can't. It's a little bit like how we try to warn our kids the internet is forever. There is no delete button that can take that stupid comment offline forever that a clever person couldn't dig deep enough and find. So be careful what you put online. Well, watch your mouth too. That is what is so amazing about words, because it takes what's inside of us that no one can see and it brings it outside. The written word and the spoken word both. It brings what's in our hearts, that overflow, and it comes out of us for others to encounter and engage with. Is it going to be good or is it going to be bad? But once it's out, it's out. And now you have to deal with what I say. You have to hear those words ringing in your ears, or you have to read that word and find it sifting down into your heart. So powerful. Words, 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 words. Powerful to curse, powerful to bless. How we can say, oh Lord, I love you, and you're awful. My beloved, you are wonderful, and you're terrible. The same words that we can use to lift others up, we can tear them down like that. If anything, it's much harder to lift up than it is to tear down. Tearing down is the easy part. Stray word, a stray comment, a purposeful word. Think about this. Who can we hurt the most but the ones that we know the best? Because we know where their soft spots are. We can get them right where we know it hurts the most. And even a stray word, have you had that happen where you said something completely unintentional or offhanded or just kind of slips out, and oh gosh, you can see the hurt in someone's face, and it's too late then, isn't it? What do you do? What do you do? Watch your mouth. And if you really want to watch your mouth, watch your heart and what you're putting into it, because that's where the words will come from. Even our gospel it's words, 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 words. What does Jesus ask the disciples there at the central moment of Mark's gospel? The central pivot point in all of Mark's gospel is Jesus' question, who do men say that I am? Well, some say Elijah, some say prophets, and some say this, and some say that. He says, fine, who do you say that I am? Words. Words, words, words. Who you say that I am. Peter says you are the Christ. Words. A sentence later, he says, but take the easy way out. Words. In one moment, he's praising. In the next minute, he's cursing. In one moment, he's speaking the truth of God that the Lord has revealed to him and offering affirmation to the identity of Christ himself. And the next minute, he's saying, run for your life. Forget that whole cross thing. Sure, there's a right way out. Take the easy way. Suffering is no good. Look out for number one and do what you got to do to save your own skin. Words. And how does Jesus respond? Words. He rebukes him. And how does it conclude? For what is a profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? For what can a man give in return for his life? For whoever is ashamed of me and of my words. Jesus says it's not just being ashamed of me, it's being ashamed of my words. Did you catch that? Because if we're ashamed of Jesus, we'll be ashamed of his words. And if we're ashamed of his words, we're going to be ashamed of him. And it's those who are ashamed of him and his words who will be rejected. And like those who seek wisdom out too late, they will not find it. Out of the overflow of the heart, so the mouth speaks. Go back to James for a second. Because here's where that connection is so clear, and yet it comes by very quickly, and it's easy to miss. Look at the ships. Though they are great and driven by strong winds, they're guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. Did you catch that? Yes, it's a small rudder that turns a big ship, but it doesn't do so on its own. Rudders aren't turning you randomly, nor do they have a mind of its own. Someone's hands are on the wheel. And it is the will of the pilot that turns the rudder that then turns the ship. Out of the overflow of the heart, so the mouth speaks. What is in your heart? Because those are the words you are putting on the wheel. Are you filling your own ears, your eyes, and therefore your heart and mind and spirit with God's words? Or words that are untrustworthy, or ugly, or wrong? Words that will lead you astray. Words that will let you down. Words that taste sweet but are not like honey, and instead are poison to you and poison to other people when you speak them out loud. Our hearts and our mouths are inextricably linked. Out of the overflow of the heart, so the mouth speaks. For the love of God, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. If we can say that He is Lord and then cut each other down, watch your mouth. If we can say that we love one another and then beat each other up, watch your mouth. If we can say that we want our hearts to offer Him honor and praise, but then we wind up filling it with junk instead, watch your mouth. It makes a difference. These words are powerful. Powerful to you and powerful to those whom you speak them to. I say the same prayer to start off every sermon for a reason. And it's the prayer that we need to be speaking now and every day. Understanding that our words are powerful for good or for bad, and understanding that they come from what resides already within our hearts. But may it be so today. With these words that you hear, with the words that you are able to speak next, what you take outside of church, for the rest of your day, for the rest of your week and your month, and for your life, may the words of your mouth and the meditations, the motivations, the content and the focus of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer.